We're going to go to this woman. She's the last video here. And she is, let's see, I think she's an attorney. Let me see if I can get her name right. Her name is Angel Jones. I don't know if she's an attorney. She's going to explain it right here. Her name is Angel Jones. And remember, gentlemen, when we're talking about marriage and divorce, it's not necessarily going to be the first year, the first 5 years, maybe not even the first 10 years. It's going to be down the line, 15, 20, and 25. Why is that important? It's because you're not going to be prepared for it. You're probably going to be at your financial peak. And then she, like that other woman that said, I wanted to change. I wanted to go to the unknown. I would rather go to the unknown. Now you're in year 15. Okay. You're bought a house. You've gotten your kids through at least elementary school, possibly close to high school or college. Okay. Then she pulls the rug. So you're going to experience a lot of pain, not at 32, but at 52. 52. So this is Angel Jones. I believe she's married, all right, for at least about 30 years. But she's going to talk about some things here related to Gen X and divorce at 50. When you are least prepared, where you're talking about retirement in 5, 10, 15 years, and you're going to get the rug pull of a lifetime. So let me go ahead and play this video.
We're going to talk about our generation, my generation, your generation. That is, if you're a Gen X or a boomer, and, you know, I've been called a boomer, not a boomer, 69 here. And what's going on with us with divorces? It's kind of crazy. And in fact, people in our generation make up 40% of all divorces now. And I think I know why this is happening. And I'm going to share with you why I think that is and why I think it's a bad idea. So we'll get right into why I think it is. People come to me, you know, I'm a divorce attorney.
By the way, 40% of all divorces, Gen X boomers. So you got a good marriage now. All right. You've been making it to year 5, year 7. Coach is great. Year 10, year 12, year 15. It's fantastic. All right. Boom. Year 16. Disaster. All right. Year 20, year 25. All right. So then you're not prepared for it.
I do consultations daily. Folks come in and almost always they're just tired of living with the same old, you know, it's day in, day out. And most of the folks who are coming in at this point, they've raised their kids and they're heading into retirement. And what they're looking to do is just move into their last 20, 30 years, reinventing their lives, you know, finally getting to have their time, or at least having, you know, thoughts or fantasies, I think, in many ways, having a different kind of relationship than the one that they've created over, you know, the last couple decades or so. At least for me, you know, I've been married 30 years. And believe me, there are days when I'm like, 30 years, then this, I've worked to do this, 30 years, where my husband and I, you know, are bickering over complete nonsense. So, you know, I get it. I'm trying to think back to the weekend we went to a wedding, which is always fun, big family wedding this weekend. And it's really joyful, but, you know, you've got everybody ranging from, you know, the octogenarians down to little kids running around these big family weddings. And it's always a mixed bag, bittersweet. And for us in particular, it's bittersweet because I didn't have the wedding that I wanted. And, you know, my husband gets a little touchy because, you know, it was his fault. He let his mom kind of take over the whole thing.
And it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault.
All right. So this woman's upset. She went to a wedding 30 years down the line, and she says, I didn't get the wedding I wanted. It was his fault and his mama's fault.
And it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault.
Here she is in her feelings. She's in her feelings because, and arguing about this shit 30 years later. She's still in her feelings about not having the wedding she wanted. Okay, let's continue here.
And I wanted a destination wedding. She wanted us to get married in their church and have, you know, their people there. And we ended up getting married at his church in the middle of the winter. None of my family could come. And it's always been a sore spot. That's not smoke you can put back in the bottle. Anyways, we go to this wedding and it's all touchy. So like I said, it's bittersweet. And so we're bickering about dumb stuff, not the least of which is like we're leaving the wedding. And, you know, my husband, for whatever reason, is walking 5 steps ahead of me and I'm clomping along in heels, which I don't wear very often. Is I'm like, you know, like da-da-da, and he's, and, you know, so my daughter's with us and
I can't have, by the way, if you want to watch the full video, me uninterrupted, I'm not just going to play this bitch just running her mouth and then me not interrupting it. I just need to teach for clarity purposes and for fair use purposes. Gentlemen, when you get into arguments with your girl, there's a bigger reason. You might not going to know what the reason is. Remember, I told you, you need to find the reason why she's with you. You need to find the source of her argument because here we go. She's talking about he's walking 5 steps ahead of me, and he's doing this, and I didn't get the wedding I wanted, and he's doing this, and I'm not doing that. I feel alone. And she's constantly, y'all bickering. This is relationships. Bickering. She's picking fights. She's flirting with the waiter. She's picking fights. She's even admitting it. Why? Because I was in my feelings. I didn't get the wedding I wanted. You might not find this out till a day or two later. Meanwhile, y'all done blew everything up and talk shit and ain't fucked. All right? And you're 25 years into marriage, and here she is. Okay? Let's continue here. I'm not going to play her whole video.
And she's rolling her eyes because she knows what's about to happen once we get in the car and all the polite face drops. For 30 years, this has been going on. And, you know, for me, it's demoralizing to not have a better handle on this stuff. And some days you just get tired. And there's worse things going on. I understand lots of people's marriages, but, you know, death by 1,000 paper cuts over the course of decades can get you to that place. And those are the people I meet with weekly. And, you know, hey, what I'm wanting to do is, you know, I just want to be fair. I want to get done. You know, I want to have a good relationship after the fact, you know, so here's what I'm looking for. You know, I want to stay in the house and I want to, you know, maintain my same standard of living as much as possible. And sometimes for women, that means spousal maintenance. Sometimes for men, it means, you know, keeping their retirement or minimizing their spousal maintenance.
Let me stop her right here. This is another situation that I talked about. So now she wants to, in this case, in the marriage, she wants to go behind door number 2. What's behind door number 2? Mystery. However, you fixing to pay for it. Yes, fixing. Okay, I want a break from this. I want my own condo. I want to stay in the marital house and you move. Why don't we get a divorce? Okay, marriage will. Why don't we just go ahead and divorce and you pay for my new lifestyle? While I go out there and fuck guys and go on trips and vacation, you pay me the alimony and let me keep the house, let me keep the kids and pay for the kids' top. You be the nice guy and you buck up or cuck up and you be the nice guy and take care of me and move on. And bruh. She the one wants the divorce. Okay, go ahead and leave. Leave me with the kids. Leave me with the house and the car. Go make your own fucking life. No, I need that spousal's maintenance, though. I need to stay in this house. I need the lifestyle that I was accustomed to. You need to keep me at that level. You're the one that wants to leave. You're the one, you got your own job. Remember, all the money that you have is your own money. What did you do with that money? All right, go ahead and leave with that. Leave me with my shit. Leave me the fuck alone. I'll work for this. Oh, you want half of my retirement all of a sudden? You see what I'm talking about? Like, this is what you're dealing with. In her mind, I need to leave and live and maintain the lifestyle that I was accustomed to just without you. All right, you just leave and go live in a studio apartment. You go leave in the car. You leave without the kids. You leave without the house. You leave without the fucking minivan. You leave without your truck and your boat. Just keep paying me to keep me up here. All right, let's continue. By the way, when people say their worst decision financially they've ever made was marriage, this is it. Let's continue.
They're generally anticipating splitting everything down the middle. And what I'm in the, I think, a little bit unenviable position to tell people is, you know, it really is true that 2 can live cheaper than 1. And while we can absolutely separate everything out, we can do it quickly, we can do it efficiently, you're really probably not going to have the same standard of living when it comes from, you know, a financial standpoint. In fact, I've got some statistics that, you know, I want to share with you that, you know, women over 50 experience a 45% drop in standard of living post-divorce. And it's about 21% for most men in our age bracket. And I'm talking about people who are 50 and up. And that's, you know, continues to age up as people get older. 27%, what this is called gray divorced, women fall into poverty. That's more than a quarter of women who think they're improving their lives will actually fall out of, you know, from above poverty into poverty. And
clearing things up, just so you know, women will say, well, I'd rather live in poverty than to live with that man. All right. So they'll say they're happy living in a 1-bedroom apartment, you know, leasing and running out of lease and not paying rent from time to time and living off rental assistance and shit like this. They'll still say, I'd rather choose that than the man. Okay. But as you can see here, women suffer mightily when they choose this because they think they're going to leap out here with a financial windfall, and some do, but they'll spend it up. All right, in relatively short order, or they won't get the support order that they thought. In this case, this woman's looking up the stats, but she's married. So I want you to think about this. I don't know what her job is. She might be a divorce attorney or she might be a marriage counselor. I'm not sure, but she knows the numbers. Why does she know the numbers? Because she wants to see what's going to happen to her monkey ass when she jumps out there. Okay? She wants to see, I think I'm going to just get $8,000 a month in spousal support and $2,000 a month in child support. That's what she thought. She jumped out there and got $850. All right, now she like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Okay, and then that's where a quarter of them fall into poverty. And then 40% of them fall way below the lifestyle that they thought they were going to maintain. And now she thinking, I better go ahead and stay with him. All right, I better stick around.
And only 22% of women remarry or cohabitate after they get divorced in their 50s plus. So divorce erodes your retirement savings, your home equity. And, for a lot of women, especially if they were in a traditional marriage where they were a stay-at-home mom, it creates problems with Social Security. And so they end up finding themselves, instead of this life that they've built together, this retirement that they were looking forward to, it really becomes a getting by. I heard a speaker, a really smart guy, describe it like in the Bible. Israel was in slavery in Egypt, right? And they wanted to go to the promised land. But the choices that they made in the middle left them wandering in the wilderness, wandering in the desert, getting by, scraping by day, never making it to the promised land because, they didn't go to the promised land the right way. Anyway, and I can share a little bit more on my opinions about how to get to the promised land out of like Egypt. There's also impacts on health. And this was fascinating to me because as I'm seeing more and more people do this, it's concerning. It's concerning to me that boomers, which were my parents, and, even in Gen Xers now, a lot of Gen Xers went through divorce as kids because boomers started to see divorce as just another menu of options to deal with family troubles. So really high numbers of Gen Xers were latchkey kids. And a lot of us decided, I don't want that for my kids. And so we, white knuckled it, just dealt with it until our kids got out of school. And so that's why I think a lot of people are now, hitting that 50, 60, 55, 50s and really thinking, all right, like, how can I improve my life? How can I, get out there and do things? But what ends up happening is you kind of jump out of the frying pan into the fire, especially when it comes to health. So divorced adults over 50 have higher rates of heart disease, diabetes, depression, and disability. Women, in fact, face higher cardiovascular problems, and, both genders experience weight changes going up, disrupted sleep, and weakened immune system. But here's to me what was the most shocking is an elevated suicide risk. So people are making a choice to improve their lives, but divorced men, particularly over 50, have a suicide rate that is nearly 9 times higher than that of divorced women and of their counterparts. So it's the loss of structure, it's the loss of community, it's the health problems that go along. They don't step out of a relationship that they've known into this new transformative, fantastic.
All right. Yep. So we have drugs, alcohol, bad health, heart. Then you also have trauma. You're now trying to date again. You're both traumatized and you don't trust other people. You have people having, multiple sexual partners afterwards. You're wondering why people aren't committing. You thought, people committed. You were around a lot of married people. You thought people were looking for marriage on the outside world. And everybody's just sleeping with each other. All right. And not committing. Then that leads to depression. You have men more likely to self-harm themselves. Self-delete. And that's normally because he's lost everything. The facade. He's lost the children. He probably's lost his daughter or son in this divorce, right? The kids had to pick sides. He has a fractured relationship with his children, his church, his community, his kids' little league, soccer team. I mean, it's across the board, all right? Then it's like, damn. Or let's say she doesn't get wealthy. He gets wealthy after the fact. That happened in my case. I got way more wealthier after the fact. She's watching me travel around the world to put hands on young women's hips. And she's like, damn, I'm on rental assistant. Wow. Okay. What happened here? What happened? I fumbled a lottery ticket. He should pay me more. Or maybe I should have not screwed him over in the divorce process. Maybe he would have continued to help me. Now she's 47, 48, 50, 56. Now what? Okay. Now you just got to wish death on a person. All right. I wish harm and death. And the devastating effect of late divorce, we're going to show you this and then wrap it up. Do me a favor, hit me with a contribution, support the show. I've been giving y'all a lot of information and facts here. Lots of it. So hit me with $1 here and there. All right, that's why we do this. Or join the Money Mindset or Locals.
Client who was devastated by his wife's decision to divorce him later in life. They had really struggled and worked, made fortunes, lost fortunes, made fortunes, lost fortunes. Predominantly, she was a stay-at-home mom, but they had kind of hit this apex, during a real estate run-up, and she wanted to basically cash in, take her money, and run. And what would have provided, the whole estate, which would have provided very well for both of them going into retirement, was halved. $1 million can't buy as much as you think it can anymore, especially when you're 60 and your earning capacity is limited going forward. It's not like you're going to be able to, draw $10,000 a month off $1 million and have it last, for the rest of your life. So he was put in the position of not being able to retire and just flat depressed about getting back in the dating game. I mean, I'm going to tell you, if I had to get back, well, for one, I would never get back into that dating game, regardless of what options I have or don't have. I mean, the sheer prospect of having to be naked in front of somebody new in and of itself is enough for me. I don't know about that, ma'am. You probably was in there fornicating, having some sort of affairs and shit like that, trying to say you wouldn't be able to date or be naked in front of a person. All right, but you certainly flirted with other men in front of your husband to actually say you have options. Now you're 57 or 63 or whatever you're at. Now you can't imagine that. Okay, so but as you can see here, she basically said the woman saw him reach his financial peak. Listen to this. I want to play that part again. Listen to this. For the rest of your life. So he was put in the position of not being able to retire as you think it can anymore, especially, the whole estate, which would have provided this apex, during a lost fortunes, made fortunes, lost.
Listen to this. Listen to this part right here. You think it's cold?
Gotta get my bag and run.
She said, she saw him reach his financial peak. He worked 10, 12, 15, 20 years. He got there. And she said, this is my out time. Cash in, dip out. He got $500K in this. He got life insurance and that. He got 401K in crypto. It's time to dip. She said,
gotta get my bag and run.
So you gonna find out, why are you married? You're worth more divorced than married. I've been saying that. These are some of my slogans that I craftily came up with that are memorable. He was worth more divorced than married. I get to take my half right off the top. I don't have to listen to him no more. I can destroy everything. I can burn up everything, and I can leave with my bag.
Gotta get my bag and run.
Sheesh. I'm going to play it again for you just so you can see it's not my words.
Fortunes. Predominantly, she was a stay-at-home mom, but they had kind of hit this apex, during a real estate run-up, and she wanted to basically cash in, take her money, and run. And
cash in, take her money, and run.
Gotta get my bag and run.
Y'all heard that, right? Just so when I say, y'all think you making that up, coach.
They had kind of hit this apex, during a real estate run up, and she wanted to basically cash in, take her money, and run. And what would have provided, the whole estate, which would have provided very well for both of them going into retirement, was halved. $1 million can't buy as much as you.
All right. So in her world, again, she saw the money and her eyes got big. All right, shit, I'm going to just dip with all that. Keep the house, the car. He'll pay off the mortgage. The house is paid off. Fuck it. All right, I'm good. I'll just take my half off now, and I'm good. I'll stay in the house. The kids will still love me, and he can leave and go do whatever the fuck he want. And then, boom. Boom. You can't support two separate households.
Gotcha, bitch.
It can't support two separate households. Now she like, oh, the money's short. I didn't get that alimony I thought I was going to get. Oh, I don't get child support. The kids are now 18. No child support. Now she out there got to go to work. And, of course, it's going to be your fault. I'm going to stop it right there and get to the contributions to today's show. But you guys have seen me build my case brick by brick, showing you exactly why I'm telling you guys marriage is not in the cards for you guys. Like, it might last 3 years, 5, 8, 10, 12, but that's not even the beginning. Okay? That ain't even the beginning of what you're going to deal with. Get through year 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay? And that's where it's going to hurt the most. What hurts the most is being so close. Shout out to Rascal Flatts. What hurts the most is being so close. Like, dude, you didn't plan on that. You didn't get to plan on getting divorced at 55 and dipped and having your kids halved up and having your retirement chopped up into pieces. It's like, what? And your house snatched from you, all because this bitch want to pick behind what's door number 2. And she wants to find happiness. Woo! It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Shout out to our brother here, Cheddar Tide.